Thank you for staying with us. Nelson Mandela University is working with disadvantaged students and visually impaired learners on coding skills. Through the Tangible Africa program, students will have the opportunity to learn future digital skills for their careers. Professor Jean Greyling is the head of Department of Computing at Nelson Mandela University. He joins me now. Professor Greyling, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Now, the Tangible Africa program started as a mobile app, which was developed, of course, by Byron Batterson for his honours project. How did this initiative evolve into a comprehensive program at the Nelson Mandela University? And really, what motivated its emphasis on inclusive education?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity for chatting with you. Well, from day one, when Byron walked into my office with a proposal for his honours fourth year project, it was about inclusion, because he said to me, Prof, we need to develop a tool that can teach learners coding concepts without needing computers or electricity or internet. So from day one, it was inclusive. Halfway through his project, normally one does an academic project with just that here in mind. We realized that what he's developing definitely has potential to impact South Africa. So beginning of 2018, I started putting all my efforts to roll it out across South Africa with Byron's support. Originally, we just gave it to students, to learners at schools, but then we realized we need to put emphasis on the training of teachers, and that has really expanded the project, the emphasis of training teachers on how to use our tools. Secondly, we are not just dependent on one mobile app. We've since then developed two others, Rangers and Boats, and we've also developed a range of study materials. Kelly Bush, a primary school teacher from East London, developed all these materials for us. So this is how things just developed. Currently, we're in probably about 10 countries in Africa, and we've just launched in Europe at the EU Coding Week, where individuals from about 15 countries across Europe will be using our Rangers game this week. So it's evolved from a simple app to a whole project or movement reaching over 100,000 learners and training 30,000 teachers.
So we understand that the Tangible Africa program really aims to empower disadvantaged students, visually impaired learners as well, as we've mentioned, and those with special needs for successful careers in coding. Can you share specific examples, Prof, of how this program has made a positive impact on the lives and careers of these individuals?
Yes, I've got many anecdotal stories of individuals. The one I immediately think of is Buhle Pikoli. On Mandela Day 2018, we played tanks at his school in New Brighton. 3 days later, he informed his teacher that he had completed all the levels. Now, just to give you an idea, that level 34 took me as someone that's been lecturing 30 years programming 90 minutes to complete. So when he finished this, I took him to a local company in Kobega, S4. And I still remember, he was grade 11. We drove back to his house and he said to me, Prof, my life has changed today. He ended up finishing his matric, receiving a diploma at Nelson Mandela University, and he's now a full-time software developer at the company S4, which he visited in grade 11. So there's many of those stories. Another one that really touches me is we trained through South African Democratic Teachers Union teachers all across South Africa last year, about 70,000. The one teacher was trained in Limpopo province. He went back to his school, first trained his fellow staff, then reached out to schools around him. And on Mandela Day this year, when we have our national tournaments, he had 1,000 learners participating on the same day from all the schools in the region around him. So I can keep on telling you stories, but that's kind of proof of how this thing evolves once you train teachers and learners.
So you've mentioned that coding skills are not just limited to software developers alone. How does the Tangible Africa program then make coding accessible and also beneficial to individuals in various disciplines? And what impact does this have on innovation capacity as well?
Yes, we believe that one of our slogans is, it's not about coding. It might sound funny because we are introducing learners to coding concepts. But we believe if you go and Google 21st century skills, you get the skills of communication, strategy, problem solving, group work, computational thinking, and then coding. So for us, the emphasis is on introducing coding concepts. But we say to each other, the 100,000 learners that we've reached won't all become software developers. But by playing the game and interacting with our material, many teachers have come back to us saying, but this enhances the other skills. It enhances problem solving and strategy. Communication, they work in groups, how to listen, how to talk. And that makes the teachers excited. They also have a slogan which they say, it triggers the brain. So you often find learners that sit in class very quiet, and they always kind of believe they can't do all this stuff, maths and science. And suddenly they play this game, which has a challenge, which challenges them to solve problems, and they succeed. And more than one teacher has come back to us saying that it's those individuals who we impact the most, because suddenly they also now participate in the maths class and in the English class, and suddenly the school starts recognizing them. We had one guy in grade 7 from Diaz Primary in Algoa Park. No one actually knew him. He started playing tanks, got excited, represented the province. He's now in grade 12, already registered, applied for BSc Computer Science at our university next year. So it's much wider than coding. It's the, let's call it the soft skills of problem solving that we are trying to enhance.
So I'm sure you'd agree that South Africa faces challenges in really promoting coding education, such as a shortage of qualified coding teachers and also a lack of computer labs in schools. How does the Tangible Africa program then address these challenges? And what innovative methods does it use to teach coding concepts?
Okay. Yeah, the fact that you've just mentioned is what drives us. The stats in South Africa is that 16,000 out of 25,000 schools do not have computer labs. And I think if one drills lower down, you'll probably get over 80% of teachers are not equipped to teach conventional coding. So we come in with a game. It's a cell phone, tangible, customized tokens like puzzle pieces. They get a challenge on the phone, which most teachers at least will have. They build the code with the puzzle pieces. They take a photo of the code, and the challenge is solved on their phone. So we've been doing tournaments and outreaches across Africa in the remotest villages. We can do it with no electricity, no internet, no computer labs, and teachers need 3 to 4 hours of training, and they can start a coding club. Some of our teachers were trained in March 2021, and up till today they're still running coding clubs twice a week, just after a 3-hour intervention. So we believe in the concept also of low entry for teachers, and then low budget. The kit that teachers would buy or get sponsored is worth 3,500 rand, and the whole school can actually work just with that kit. Where just to build a lab in a school could cost you between 500,000 and 1 million rand. So low budget is the fifth criteria. No electricity, no internet, low entry for teachers, no computers, low budget.
So the Tangible Africa program has really turned into a global project in collaboration with the Lever Foundation. How has this collaboration indeed fostered job creation, entrepreneurship, and even educational opportunities on a global scale?
Yes, Lever Foundation is, we call them our implementation partner. I'm still HOD of our computer science department. I literally don't have the time. So Lever Foundation took over the implementation, the rollout of this project. At some stage earlier this year, we had over 300 interns that were paid per week that were reaching out to schools all over the country. But today we have probably about 20 full-time staff on contract or full-time employed, and then 70, 80 interns. So there's a lot of job creation that's happening. What we also find is that some of the local NGOs or community leaders that get to grips with our tool and game start what they call sustainable coding clubs. So you measure what the people in your street can pay, so they could charge them 10 rand to come and play for half an hour. And if you don't receive anything, 10 rand for half an hour is a lot of money. But then on the long view, we mainly interact with learners at primary school level. So we say to them, okay, you've shown now by playing this game that you've got computational logic, that you can become a software developer now. And then we twist it. We say to them, okay, we're not going to make you developers at primary school. We now need to put things in place that you can achieve in maths and science and all the subjects you need to come and study with us after matric. And we've got about 10 to 15 learners that are already in that pipeline, heading towards a degree and then very, very good employment, because software development is the scarcest skill in South Africa, and our graduates very easily get employment. So you've got the short-term employment of people on staff, but the long view is we're preparing people for brilliant employment in the next 5 to 10 years after obtaining a degree.
Professor Greyling, looking ahead, what is the vision for the future of inclusive education at the Nelson Mandela University, particularly in the context of software development and coding? Are there new initiatives or expansions planned here?
Well, there's probably many other departments that also do try and think inclusively. As a university in the poorest province in the country, we have to think inclusively. It would just be a shame if we just target the people that are from well-off schools and well-resourced schools. For us, as I said, our objective of low budget, no electricity, etc., makes our project inclusive. You mentioned the idea regarding the blind or the low-sighted learners. We've just revamped all our tools using Braille, high contrast, bigger tokens, so that we can interact with the visually impaired. And we've just completed 16 workshops across all 9 provinces where we've had super positive feedback from teachers. Some of these teachers themselves are blind, and they would say to us that they were sitting in a workshop for a full day, never feeling excluded. And obviously we've been mainly in South Africa, so we want to roll this out to more of Africa. We strongly believe this is a solution from Africa for Africa. And then we had quite a surprise. When we went to Ireland last year, you kind of think of Europe's going to say, oh, this is a game, we've got computers, we don't need you. The teachers in Europe, Ireland, across the continent in Europe are as excited as our teachers, because the concept of gamification comes in. The learners finish levels and have to go to the next level. The concept of fun comes in. And even teachers in well-resourced schools in South Africa and Europe are now using our games. What the future holds, well, that I can't say. We've just also developed workshops using our games to introduce maths concepts, and teachers have been trained across the country on that. But there's many other disciplines. Our dream is to have an application by mid-next year where we can design new games that fit into agriculture or history, or even the soccer clubs in Europe, or the Formula One racing games, so that we can have different apps with different themes and content that on an innovative gaming way teaches kids discipline content.
Thank you very much for your time. That's Professor Jean Greyling. He was shedding light on this groundbreaking work of the Nelson Mandela University's Tangible Africa program.